right. It is Friday, isn't it? Okay. Hey, you guys. Happy Friday. As you guys can see behind me too, is because StreamYards, I said Streamlabs yesterday, but StreamYards now allows you to put like a 1 minute max kind of video behind the background, which I love.
Hmm.
I just wish that StreamYards would come up to the fact of having two media sources that you can at least put two media sources up.
Right.
That then will be the kind of cat's butt for me. And also, if they would do it so that kind of like Stream Labs, that they would allow so that when somebody donates, that it would, you could pop up an emoji type of on the screen.
Right.
That's where they're falling behind in my eyes, is that they need to accomplish those couple things so that they can more compete with the OBS. But anyways, so welcome, of course, to today's live. Adam forced me to do it, didn't you, Adam?
I what?
Forced.
I
You
did.
put me in
I
cuffs. Yeah, forced
yeah.
me to do it. Yeah, no. I was contemplating all day. Are we going to do a live today? Who here is exhausted from yesterday? I
I have to
know,
say I'm exhausted from the last like 2.5 weeks.
right? It's been in true crime. It's been like one thing after another after another. I mean, we got the whole Rex Heuermann thing going on as well, like a bunch of different stuff going on. Have to do a live. I asked Steph if she wanted to join tonight. She was at she like I think Steph tomorrow night might do a live on this. She was at the courthouse yesterday, and it was. I have to tell you a funny. Um, is that she was actually, and I didn't notice it because I was too busy looking at Steffa. But apparently she was sitting near Mama Libra Scales. Do you remember
Oh yeah.
Mama that used to be on the show?
Oh, is
Um,
she in court?
yeah, apparently she was there. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just happened to see True Great Crime or Live come up, and I was like, why does that name sound familiar? And then so I listened to it for a few minutes, but at the time I didn't know um, until I said a comment in our private chat or whatever, and then Stefan tells me that she was actually like or her daughter, I think, or was it her or her daughter? Anyways, that was sitting right beside Mama. So yeah, there was a lot of people there
Well,
yesterday. Um,
yeah. That that gallery had to have been filled by a lot of YouTuber, social media people, and
yeah,
reporters.
yeah, absolutely.
Um,
And um, the saddest thing is, like I said, like the family was there. Like
Although
Carrie.
I heard Anna was not there. I heard
Okay,
Anna's parents were there, but I heard Anna was
right.
not
You know, for the most part, Anna speaks rarely. You know, um, like I said, there's usually, and Carrie as well. Carrie
there. Carrie
spoken,
was
but
there. Yeah.
she was there. Yeah, I remember somebody made a comment because Carrie Timmons, Libby's mom, is kind of like that forgotten person,
Totally.
really. And as you can see there, she is in the bottom screen there. Um, and she always, like I said, I really feel for Carrie because it's almost like she's the mom of Libby, you know, and it always saddens me that it's kind of like she had said, back in that I think one what was it, once in a lifetime or lifetime documentary, the lifetime documentary,
Yeah.
where it's like, oblivious to what was really going on, doesn't really get
Right.
the news anyways. So I just, of course, want to pay the respects to the families that keep having to deal with, you know, just all these, they're more than just hiccups, you know, um, all
Well,
these,
now they have, and now they're going to have to deal with. I mean, essentially, the process starting over as far as these new attorneys being appointed and this hearing on the 31st, in which I assume a new attorney will be appointed and a new trial date will be set. Which, of course, that's going to be preliminary at best.
yeah,
So you know,
sad. Yeah, Kelly. Yeah. And if you guys don't mind, please give this live a like and a share, and possibly at some point we will talk about and show the supposed leak person, perhaps. Still thinking about it. Depends if we get over 100 likes this live. Maybe that's a little bribery, isn't it?
We're kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. But let me just okay, so start off. Hey you guys, thank you for joining the live again. Thank you for everyone, of course, that follows the Libby and Abby DELPHI murder case, and all the love and attention that you guys have for this case. Again, it means a lot to us. You guys know that. It means a lot to others as well. Tobe looked so bad in that interview.
He did. Well,
oh, actually, what interview was that? I didn't see it then.
I think they're referring to the Lifetime documentary where Hannah Shakespeare was talking to Tobe, and you know, I don't think the intent was to make Tobe look bad in that interview. I think that, you know, Tobe just came off a little tone deaf, and he came across the way he came across in that interview, and you know, I think, you know, if you watched that Lifetime documentary, you can see when Hannah got back in the vehicle with Mike Grasso, that she was, you know, emotionally affected by that interview as well. So yeah, anyone that hasn't seen the Lifetime documentary, you can watch it on Fig Solves channel.
Yeah. Yep. So so again, hey everyone, hey Sharon Parker. Again, thank you guys for joining the live. So I'm just going to play a video. It's about what, 3, maybe, no, how long is it actually? Let me just, I think it's about about 4.5 minutes long. So I'm going to quickly play that, and then we'll get into the live and talk about everything again. And you know, yeah, let's do that first, okay guys? So, whoops, I always hit share screen, but I mean to hit video file. So let me just get that video file. This one here. Okay, so we'll be back in about 4 hours. Libby and Abby ever get the justice that they so deserve. This case has been derailed yet once again, but It's a Criming Shame wants to put out the biggest hugs of love for the families of the victims, as they are victims too, as this case continuously has problems that seem to always creep up at the last moment. And anyways, I want you guys to remember that Libby and Abby's walk is Saturday at 12:30 p.m. So hopefully people will be there at the Monon High Bridge Trail for Abby and Libby's walk. Okay, so let's talk about, of course, what happened yesterday again, and go over whatever our thoughts are with that, about the defense on Richard Allen's team, of course, withdrawing from Richard Allen's case.
What I can share with you is that the defense attorney, Brad Rosie, he walked into the courtroom.
And there goes Sneaky Leaky past the door.
Approached Richard Allen's wife and mother in the gallery, whispered something to them, and then they all left the courtroom together. We would not see them again for the rest of the afternoon. Moments later, we understood what that was foreshadowing. The judge started the hearing, and she made a surprise announcement.
And we start tonight on this Friday with IT8. How safe is the evidence in the DELPHI murders case, and where does it all go from here? Those are the important questions after the lawyers representing Richard Allen, the man accused of killing Libby German and Abby Williams, suddenly withdrew from the case.
IT8 senior investigative reporter Richard Essex was in court when the judge made the announcement, and he continues to follow the story.
The case may be over after an evidence leak from attorney Andrew Baldwin's office caused him and his co-counsel to withdraw from the case, but the case may not be done with them.
Of course, moving forward, they have to be extra careful with these forms of evidence because we already know that the public is especially vigilant. This is a high-profile trial, and we need to make sure that there is no more interference with the administration of justice going forward.
Attorney Andrew Baldwin never set foot in court yesterday. He offered the judge a verbal withdrawal from the case after a former employee of his law firm leaked Delphi documents and crime scene pictures. This serious breach of evidence could land Baldwin and his co-counsel back in court.
When an attorney is in charge of an office, then that attorney is actually responsible for all of their subordinates, whether or not they're attorneys. And so that includes paralegals, that includes pretty much everyone on that particular ship, and the attorney is like the captain. And the attorney might not have known exactly what was going on, but they're still chargeable with it.
In court filings Thursday morning, an attorney for Baldwin argued that he'd been snookered and abused and betrayed by a friend. Baldwin also says he's tightened security around the Delphi evidence, including keeping all items locked in a room or locked in a fireproof file cabinet. Employees are required to lock the evidence room door if they leave to go to the bathroom.
In state of Indiana versus Richard Allen.
All or most of the Delphi-related documents in Attorney Baldwin's office have been ordered returned to the state. He and his co-counsel, Rozzi, are expected to cooperate with Allen's new legal team. Judge Fran Gull looked disgusted as she announced that Baldwin and Rozzi had withdrawn. It's been almost a year since Allen was arrested for the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. The trial set for January will be delayed, but does this latest courtroom drama put the evidence in jeopardy?
It's incumbent upon the new attorney to maintain a very tight ship. And the other issue that they can face is just ironing out beforehand what's going to happen with certain kinds of evidence, including the evidence that was leaked.
In Indianapolis, Richard Essex, Wish TV, iTeam 8.
Okay, you guys, so this is just some of the jobs that are on the listing. The Indiana Air National Guard, Master Sergeant, legal intern at the Criminal Defense Law Firm, and of course, the Baldwin Law Firm legal assistant. And then, of course, you're going to have the Baldwin Law Firm again as the operations manager. And this is probably the one that makes the biggest irony to me, is the ethics and compliance officer, which would be his current job as it's showing. So this is the person that supposedly is responsible to the leaks. That's Andrew Baldwin's friend that had gained access to the leaked photos. Okay, so I have to go back to that. So I like how Diana's like, come on, everyone, hit that thumbs up. We would appreciate, absolutely. Diana wants to know who the leaker is. Supposed leaker, let's just say that, okay? It hasn't been publicly confirmed. So I still need to take a breath from what happened yesterday. So like I said, first and foremost, prayers to the family. Honestly, I can't say how badly enough I feel for the families and the victims of this constant, problematic case, this crazy twisted turns and, do you know what I mean? Just one thing after another, just when you look at the whole of it and, all the speculation or condemning the family, of Abby and Libby and all the different theories out there. And then the whole Kagan Klein gets brought into it, and nothing's come of it. And then, this stuff in October, from the Odinism and plus the leaks that had happened already, back in springtime. Just everything. And I just, I did send Becky a message yesterday, just saying, sorry for everything that's going on. Prayers to the girls, hugs to the family and them. I know she probably, I don't know, Becky's she's a Cancer, by the way. She's a very, strong force in the justice for Abby and Libby, of course. And sometimes after a while, I just wonder where their disappointment level hit yesterday. I'm pretty sure it must have been past 100%. Let's be clear about one thing, though. The leak is from the defense team. Okay,
Oh,
that's where the
that's
leak
a
is
tough
from.
question.
No, the paperwork that came out yesterday, which we'll look at again, about the snookered, and that they're not denying it. They literally admitted to the fact, in a sense, that well, we'll go over that, but bottom line is it didn't come out from anybody else. It came out from the defense team, the so-called friend of Andrew Baldwin, however they want to play it. The one thing I do want to as well discuss in this live, of course, is Fran Gull's reaction that we seen yesterday and the different opinions that are kind of being discussed. But let's just kind of go back to cancer, meaning, so Aspen and myself were born in July, so is Becky. So for me, I know the Cancer personality, so does Adam, and so does anyone else that falls in that zodiac sign. We know who we are as people. We're very strong and feisty and very compassionate and sensitive by that same token. Becky has those same attributes that I see, someone that amongst all the pain, the fighter in her is always there. She just, like the rest of us and their families, just want answers, just want justice for the girls. So anyways, that's
Right.
what I meant when I'm referring to Cancer. Deb knows exactly what we're talking. I see. Okay. Oh, hello, Alexa. Hi, Alexa.
Alexa.
So yes. So I think Teo Mai or whatever said, just 2 panelists tonight. Sadly, yes. Sadly,
Yeah.
it's just me and you. I didn't ask. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I had asked Steffa, but sometimes people I didn't ask Alexa tonight because, I guess I could have, and if she wants to come on, she can, but I don't like to abuse the kindness of our friends, either.
Right.
They have other things to do in kindness. So sometimes we just do the lives, just us, heaven forbid, but yeah. But like I said, I asked Steph if she wanted to come on tonight, since she was in the thing, and she said she was exhausted, and that perhaps if I did one on the weekend. So I was like, yeah, sure, easily do another one. But so anyway, what were you gonna say there?
I was just gonna say, I know that. I was trying to be very respectful of all of the families' space and what I assumed was probably people bombarding them with messages. But what I did hear from one immediate family member yesterday was when I speculated to them that I could only imagine how sad and defeated they might feel at the setback of this. The response I got was a little surprising, and that wasn't, to be spoken for all of the family members, and it is in no way a violation of the gag order, because all that was said to me was that basically they were as kind of like WTF as all the rest of us were. So, with all of this leak stuff, it wasn't really there wasn't really an indication of sadness in it so much as just a sense of what is going on now. And that could have been, the immediacy of what had happened, the shock maybe of it. But yeah, I kind of assumed that, they would be like, oh my gosh, another setback. But, but the response I got was basically WTF now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just heartbreaking, to know that this is all gonna get reset. It's like going back to square one in a sense. Oh, and by the way, Teo, sadly I removed you. Yeah, because he said, too bad you guys take everything to heart like you and your mods. Sorry, I could tell right away. As soon as I seen the name, I was like, okay, I'm probably not going to end up blocking this person. And I did. Sorry. It's like, oh, only 2 panelists tonight. but you just knew it kind of, that person came in with some kind of attitude and ignorance to it. So it was like, yeah, I'm just going to block you. Don't feel like listening to that person today or any other day, unless they want to make up a new name or something. Hi, Lisa. Good evening. And let's see here. Just saying some hellos as we do this. If I'm not mistaken, I think Tom Webster have gone live like 15 minutes. Yeah, we can smell them, can't we? I think before we started, only because I seen it pop up. And I started to Sunny. Hey, Ben. Hi, Lisa. Hope you're feeling better. It's good to see you back. And hey, Frank. Frank, are you still calling BS? Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Again, kind of like yesterday. It's like, how many times can there be all these blocks that keep happening in the justice for Libby and Abby? Like, when will it end, honestly? And when will the girls get their fair justice?
Right.
That's the sad part in all of this. It's almost like life is like freaking playing a huge joke, or maybe everything's happening for the reasons that they're meant to.
Right.
All I know
Tom's
is this. Hey?
Tom's not live.
Oh, I thought it was. Maybe he put out a video. Because I just seen it pop up. Maybe he put out a video on there. Maybe he's sitting here right now watching us from his recording.
Of course he is. Hey, Tom.
Yeah. Oh, I was in the middle of doing something. I was about to put a comment on his live, even though I wasn't watching the live, but the replay on it. And then I forgot because I ended up getting sidetracked. I was about to hit on him again. So I'll just say it right now. I was going to leave you a nice comment. Totally forgot. Not that you're unforgettable, but I was in the middle of doing a few different things. And then you just reminded me of that.
Right.
Lisa, prayers that all goes well for you. Absolutely.
Caesar, that's funny.
What do you say?
Caesar says rumor is some guy with Odin patches made Baldwin quit.
Oh, right. This has to be the most drawn out. Okay. Hey, where did you go on me? You hiding on me? He's hiding. Hi, Charmaine. Caesar. Let me just bring this stuff back up again.
Sorry, I had to laugh.
What?
Oh, hey, Charmaine, by the way, I have not gotten your package yet, but I did check today.
Yeah. Good evening. Someone's prepping up for Halloween. Zero.
Cool. Hi there.
Yeah. I guess, Halloween's in 11 days, eh? Yeah. Happy Halloween. I'm going to have to, we're going to what are you doing for Halloween?
I haven't thought about that far ahead. I would assume if I'm up at the lake, I'll probably be with my niece trick or treating, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be doing a live. That's what I'll be doing. I'll be doing a Halloween live. Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Halloween, and it's the hearing.
I know. I was like, come on now. Who puts a hearing on Halloween? Maybe it's appropriate. I don't know.
Kind of like the one they did last year with the press conference.
Oh yeah, right. That was on Halloween, wasn't it? Right. Yeah. Huh? Or was that 2 years ago?
No, it was 1 year.
Was that 1 year? It feels like 2 years. Huh. Okay. So let's go back to this right here. Okay, guys. I'm just gonna take this down. I assumed you all were going live for Halloween since the next hearing is that day, right? Well, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna do it anyway. So let's go back to this, right? Andrew Baldwin did nothing wrong. He was snookered and abused. God, that's the most pathetic words I can honestly look at in his whole entire document. Snookered and abused. So one of his good friends abused him and snookered him? Okay.
Sure. May very well be true. But ultimately, Baldwin is still responsible.
Right. I don't think I would use the word abused. You know what I mean? Snookered? Okay. Let's play a game of pool, whatever. But abused? Come on now. Get it. Like that's when I hate it when they use words like that, It just comes off as
kind of like in the response about when he was quoted as saying that he was 100% committed to his client's innocence.
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, but Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rosie might 100% believe Richard Allen is innocent, and they might have seen more evidence that would point to that than us. But if that's the case, they had two choices yesterday. They could stayed on and fought for the innocence of their client, or they could have resigned from the case or recused themselves from the case for whatever purpose. They chose not to stay on. So I don't think you can call that fighting 100% for the innocence of your client. I read that myself as they chose their own careers above the innocence of their client. And don't forget, they were making $500 an hour.
So in retrospect, just quickly, and I'll pull this up bigger in a second. So in retrospect, I mean, the wordings of the document that I just had up there, and we'll go back to it in a few minutes again. It was clear that they were going to be removed from the case, and so that's why I'm having this hard time when people say that Fran Gull was shocked, or your thoughts again on that, Adam, from yesterday, like how you feel. Like, I should probably pull up the video here. Let me just put up this first. Let's do this one thing at a time. Okay, so I'll bring this up bigger on the screen. So this is one of the texts that Brandon Woodhouse had put out, okay, on one of his videos. It was someone that has the necklace or something on the front of it, that video. But anyway, so this says, "This is Andy Baldwin. As you can imagine, we have received dozens and dozens of tips. I must say that yours is the most compelling. Someone from my office will be calling you soon to arrange a time to have further discussion, if that is okay with you. I certainly appreciate the time you took to collect this information and send it to me. I met with Rick Allen yesterday and watched him cry while expressing his innocence. I've done this a long time, and I believe he is innocent. It's early, and I have not seen any evidence yet, as we have not yet received any evidence. I could be wrong about Rick. However, my instincts are usually correct. You are not the first person to identify this person as the actual killer, but no one has provided as much detail as you have. Again, thank you. It may end up being a dead end, or it may be the type of email that tips the first domino in the direction that leads to Rick's exoneration. Either way, thank you, and I will look forward to talking to you soon if you are willing. Kind regards, Andy Baldwin." Okay, so in saying that, let me just quickly go to Court TV from yesterday. Court TV, come on, Court TV. Hey, Adam. When I woke up today, guess what I saw? I saw a copyright strike. Guess who it was from?
Who?
Fox 59 for the couple minutes, for the 2 minutes that I played. That's why, you guys, if you're a creator, don't use Fox 59. You can use Fox 29 and other ones. Don't use Fox 59. They suck monkeys' butt on there. Court TV. That's why I don't like things from Fox 59, for that exact reason.
Right.
Okay, so this is, I'm just looking for the 3-minute video here. Shoot, they put a few things out already. Okay, so it's this one. We're going to go back to that. I know we've all watched this multiple times yesterday, but whatever, let's watch it again. just for Frankel's, speech, basically.
We on? All right, we are on the record in State of Indiana versus Richard Allen, 08C012210MR1. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. McClellan, Mr. Luttrell, for your patience. We've had an unexpected turn of events, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier this afternoon, the defense attorneys have withdrawn their representation of Mr. Allen. Mr. Baldwin made an oral motion to withdraw. I granted that oral motion to withdraw, and Mr. Rosie will be submitting a written motion to withdraw, I'm assuming within the next couple of days. They have confirmed with the court that Mr. Allen's financial situation remains static, meaning he is continuing to be entitled to appointed counsel. I will reach out to public defenders to make that appointment. As Mr. Allen is now without counsel, I've ordered him transported back to the Department of Correction. Mr. McClellan, I know that we have already scheduled a hearing in the Carroll Circuit Court October 31st at 9 a.m. I'd like to maintain that hearing if we can, please. I think at that point we can have counsel appointed. I'd like to set a new trial date. Obviously, I don't believe counsel will be prepared within the next couple of months to try a case of this magnitude in January. So we'll set dates for the trial. I think we need to set a date as well for the suppression hearing that was filed now by former counsel. I have asked the attorneys to provide all of the discovery previously provided back to the state of Indiana. I know I entered a protective order on the discovery, and honestly, I don't remember when that was. I think it was in April of this year, perhaps, maybe sooner. But the attorneys have been ordered to provide all of that discovery back to the state. And if you would maintain that until such time as it can be turned over to successor counsel, I would appreciate that, Mr. McClellan. I've also asked the defense attorneys to cooperate with successor counsel. They're not required to do that, but I think that they will in the best interests of Mr. Allen. They're not required to provide any of their work product, but they will be required and have indicated that they will cooperate with successor counsel. So obviously, without counsel, Mr. Allen's hearing cannot proceed. I apologize that I know many of you have been waiting for several hours. I know, Mr. McClellan, you and your staff, and you had some witnesses here. That I know many of you have been waiting.
We'll just go back to that. Okay. So let me just look at a couple comments that I've seen. So Travis says, I don't think we know the particulars about what and why for the withdrawal. We will know more when Rosie files his written motion. Baldwin's counsel said that they didn't quit. They were coerced to withdraw. What's your thoughts on that, Adam?
I think in the line directly following that was that, they were 100% committed to their client's innocence. And I attest that I don't believe they were. I think they chose their own careers over their client's innocence. I think they were invested in their client, and I think they were invested in their client's innocence. I think that, in the little clip that we saw of Brad Rosie motioning to Janice and Kathy, I think I see sincerity when I've heard the defense discuss Richard Allen and discuss the family of Richard Allen. But coerce to me is a play on words that, I think that, what most likely happened was, I think rather than on television, be confronted with something that ultimately was their responsibility that they neglected, whether intentionally or inadvertently. They chose not to fight. And I think that, Nick McClellan came with witnesses, as we know, that were going to lay out how this leak happened. They didn't want that to be broadcast, and so they chose not to fight for their client. That's my take on it.
I agree. They were going to get dismissed.
I believe they absolutely were going to get dismissed, or they were going to be sanctioned. And I think at this point, like I said, however long ago, I didn't see there was any way that they could remain as his counsel, because I feel like the water had been muddied so much by them that they themselves were making Richard Allen write for an appeal for, ineffective assistance of counsel.
Yeah.
So I feel like they were doing a disservice more than anything at this point, and the best thing for anyone, as sad as it is, was for them to go.
Yeah.
And I don't say that lightly, because no one wants to see a delay in this case.
Yeah.
But
Zero Cool says,
when you F around and find out, you find out.
Yeah. Zero Cool says the attorneys step down for the benefit of everyone. Hypothetically, I don't think that they stepped down for the benefit of everyone, as much as they were going to be removed anyway. Which kind of, when you read the paper right in front of you here, that's pretty much exactly what they're talking about. But then says that to lose the case, RA could easily appeal. The defense needs to be flawless. I think that definitely, I think it was the right thing to do for the case.
I agree with you, Zero Cool.
Yeah. So in this part of the letter, right, the disseminators do not fit the definition. Attorney Baldwin did nothing wrong. He was snookered and abused. See Hannah versus State, which reversed the conviction because the trial court erroneously disqualified the counsel. Okay, this is what they're talking about, being disqualified when the accused had waived any perceived conflict. And which means, like, in that case, they're referring to, say, Richard Allen, because obviously Richard Allen was like, oh, I got no issue with it. So it says, we note at the outset that the defense counsel was disqualified in response to the state's motion and not in response to the defense request for substitute counsel. Where it is the government which moves to disqualify defense counsel, the burden is on the government. So to me, this all says it right here when they're showing these cases about, disqualifying the defense counsel and stuff like that, like all these things that are that they're trying to show about the defense request. The trial court reconsidered its earlier and granted a continuance while it denied the defense's attorney's request to withdraw. I'm not even sure what this word is. It's sua sponte, whatever, remove them from the case because of the insulting and absolutely improper remarks about the court. Like they're showing all these court references.
Yeah. Which is one thing I will note that's funny in that is that, there was a prior reference in a different motion or different order given by Judge Gull responding to a motion given by the defense where she cited that, they were using case law that was not from Indiana. And if you read the thing Sonny just had up, a few of the things were from Indiana, but most of them were not from cases within Indiana. And so when I first read that, yesterday morning, I was like, someone didn't get the memo. Judge Gull doesn't want to see case law from outside of Indiana.
Must not have been on this page. Because this one looks like Indiana.
Yes, a couple of them were Indiana, but I think there was a Michigan one. I can't remember.
Yeah, you're right. There was one. I remember that. Yeah.
And Anna, I agree. Anna Lizette says a couple of YouTube channels a couple of attorney channels on YouTube claim that had they gone forward, there would have been a bar investigation. That's less likely with the withdrawal. I agree that's true. The issue is sloppiness at Baldwin's firm. I agree. But ultimately, it's Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rosie, since they were the the counsel for Richard Allen. It's they're the ones ultimately responsible.
Absolutely. That was the comment that you were just reading there. hmm I think it was definitely in their best interests. It's kind of like reminds me of Judge Fotes, right? He should have been, disbarred and whatever. And, he's like a crooked judge, right? And he was able to step down and then, keep being a lawyer. But that's what it reminds me of, like that when you're doing the best thing for themselves so that
Right.
they can take the least amount of, lashing in a sense.
But this leak investigation does not go away just because
Correct.
they step down. So I mean, this investigation is still going to have a bookmark in this case. So the new counsel for Richard Allen is going to now have to deal with, with this as part of the case they have to defend Richard Allen against. And it doesn't mean that someone still can't file a complaint with the bar of Indiana against these attorneys.
Mhm. I was going to say, like, so what would it be considered? Like, I was thinking tampering with evidence.
I mean,
Pardon?
charges could still be brought up
Right.
against the person that leaked this information. I mean, this was
Right.
at least a misdemeanor.
Well, let's go back to this last part. So the issue before the court is a horribly tragedy created by persons not related to the defense of Mr. Allen. Wait, what? There were 3 disseminators, one which committed assassinated after the law enforcement. So with that, I remember in the news or in a document, media or whatever, it said basically that Robert Kyle Fortston took his life like after the FBI that visited him?
No, it wasn't the FBI.
Investigators, whoever it was, investigated him. Go ahead.
There were 2 investigators assigned to the leak investigation. Jerry Holman being the lead of that investigation.
Sorry, I was just more or less referring to the law officers or whoever that talked to Kyle. It goes by the name of Kyle, apparently, Forston. That's what the article had basically said. Now, I still, who knows exactly what was going through that gentleman's mind. Regardless, prayers again to the family. I don't think that the leaked photos would, to me, but we don't know. I don't think that would. Maybe it might have been the catalyst that finally broke the camel's back, in a sense, to something else that was going on in that poor gentleman's life that decided to take his life. Who knows? That's just kind of what the media had kind of put it out, like after he was talked to by that whatever Ellie or whatever, that then he took his life. But that's just speculation, really. Like, they make it seem like it's almost because of that, but not saying it, but kind of that wording preludes to it a little bit. Okay, going back to this. So it should be considered that nothing has been disclosed that won't be disclosed at trial or hearings. I don't know why people keep making light of that. Like that, when it says it should be considered nothing has been disclosed that won't be disclosed at trial or hearings, as if that's like a right of way. That
because here's the difference. There's it's night and day. Just if something is put out in a court of law or during the judicial process versus something that's put out on social media or that's released illegally to people outside of the court. So I love that they're like, oh, well, this would have come to light eventually anyway. I'm like, that doesn't make it legal or moral.
Exactly. Jen, I don't agree with anyone that's saying that child P is considered, that a crime scene photo would be considered CP.
No.
There's
Yeah, I mean, I to my knowledge, anyone that received these images received an edited version of these images where any sort of um, genitalia or whatever were blacked out.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, there's crime scene photos all over the internet, and to me, like I said, I, I, I mean, I've listened to people talk about it, and I've listened to people that say like CP, but I mean, I totally disagree with that, because there's crime scene photos all over the internet. And,
well, and Jen is saying I don't agree either.
Yeah, I think it's because Jason Jensen said that as well, to people, and maybe others have too. But hey, yeah, he's out of a job. Isn't he, for that one?
Yes, he's out of a job.
Yeah. So, but I know that he said that, it was kind of like that whole thing on the Rick Snay show when Chris Todd was talking about the crime scene photos, and I don't know. All I saw was somebody trying to help Chris Todd out, but yet he made that comment about CP, and I don't think he knew what he was really talking about myself. But I remember him saying that. Anyways, I can't see that whatsoever. So let's go back to this. So it says, Mr. Baldwin's trusted a friend to respect his office space. So obviously he's saying that, yes, a friend that was in his office space, hence Mr. MW, he was betrayed.
Didn't I say that last night?
Pardon, Adam?
Didn't I say that last night? He had access in the office to all of this.
Well, there was truly only a couple of ways that this could possibly have happened.
Right.
Like, really. And then it just really becomes so for instance, and I know you don't like this name as much as more I do, but Brandon Woodhouse, he put out a few different things with regards to Baldwin. And one of the comments that he made was that, like, basically saying, like, I don't actually know if Alex Baldwin intentionally meant to send me, this.
You just said Alex Baldwin. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. I have a hard time with that because I can't help but think of the Baldwin brothers. Andrew Baldwin. I can't help but to think of that, Alex Baldwin. Andrew Baldwin. He's, according to Brandon Woodhouse, they had really in-deep conversations. And then he says to this Mark guy, and Adam, the Mark guy that he's talking with, would this be Mark Roberts?
That who's talking to?
Well, Brandon, in his videos.
Yes.
Yeah, he's talking to Mark Roberts, correct?
He's talking to Mark Robert.
Yes. Yeah, Mark Robert. Okay. Because you see the name Mark, and it makes sense, right?
It's the same Mark that Murder Sheet refers to when they talk about Mark.
Yeah, and when they're talking of Brandon Woodhouse.
And the person put out the F tree pick.
Yes, which is that Mark guy. Okay. Now, Brandon Woodhouse, Murder Sheets made mention of him, and another good friend source said that he didn't receive, accordingly, the evidence. It was more that he received a map of the thumb drive.
Right. An index file.
Yes. And so, because trust me, we probably would have seen a lot more than what he was showing. But anyways, so correct, Adam, like you had said as well, right? I mean, like I said, there was really only a couple ways that somebody could really access it. That's a friend. But here it's saying right here to everyone, Mr. Baldwin trusted a friend to respect his office space. He was betrayed. Well, we don't know that for sure, because what they're putting here, could be only partial of it, but who knows? Could be that Andrew Baldwin was absolutely betrayed, or it could be that he turned his computer and went to the bathroom. Who knows? He was betrayed. Since that transgression, Mr. Baldwin has kept all Delphi-related items locked in a room or locked in a blah, blah, blah. Furthermore, the defense counsel has put together a plan for curative action. But it's clearly saying right here that a friend of Andrew Baldwin's, was in his office space, and that's where basically the leak had come from. And that now he's doing all these preventative measures, and he feels snookered and abused. And this David Hennessy guy, like I remember listening to or reading, I think I was listening to, like, he didn't even make it into the actual, like, apparently, like, they were in Fran Gall's office or whatever, and he was outside, like, waiting to be called in. But then next thing you know, he doesn't get called in, and next thing you know, we're hearing about the withdrawal, being withdrawn.
CJK, can I answer your question really quickly?
This one?
Yes. And again, no one has to believe me on this, but I mentioned this yesterday during the live, but the reason that I even came across this person, who I know whose initials are MW, are because I knew that this was a former employee and a close dear friend of Andrew Baldwin's. And the reason that he was given access to the law office is because he was brought in, and to the point where he even was staying in Franklin, where the law offices are, to help Andrew Baldwin personally in researching and preparing the 136-page Odinism memorandum that was released by the defense, which is also how 10 to 12 days before that was even filed on my case, there were YouTubers such as Gray Hughes, Rick Snay, different people that were being told about the Odinism angle of this, because that information was already being leaked by these people through each other. Not the YouTubers, but through the MW to Fortson to Robert, etc. But he had access because he was given access directly from Andrew Baldwin as a close friend and former employee, and someone that had ran the office for 2 years and previously had been a law clerk for 2 years before that. And so who else would you trust when you need extra manpower to do a job in a short amount of time than someone you trust? The problem is he was doing so in an unofficial capacity, and he was given access he never should have been given. So right there, Andrew Baldwin committed a very egregious act. And anything beyond that is speculative, but I'm confident that that is how this happened.
Correct. And so that was the other one. And then Ivy says, what was the original leak of the pic of the screen?
Yes.
If so, right, which is yes.
Right. Because the person that leaked this knew they couldn't send it from a computer in the law office. There would be a very clear record of that. They took a picture of a screen that was logged in and had access to this discovery information. And not only did they access these pictures, they had access to all of the evidence. So while these pictures might have been the only thing that had been leaked, this person had access to everything. And that's the real problem. We don't know what else they might have shared with people that hasn't been released.
So I just feel like a lot of people, like yesterday, you heard Fran Gall talk, but she didn't give you all the fine details, of it. So like Aspen, if I'm not mistaken, Adam, you were like the first person that I know of that you were the one talking about this already, about them getting fired. And is that the one that you set up people on your video were basically hating, going, you don't know nothing, blah, blah, blah? Is that the one?
Right.
You know,
Well, yeah,
apparently
but I
don't
mean,
know nothing.
but that was before the leaked pictures even came out. So
Yeah. But,
and that's fine.
so-
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I like I said, I'm not in this to be right. I don't care about that, of course.
no, but the bottom line is, I mean, again, it does show that people can't keep their mouth shut regardless, really.
No, they can't.
You know, I mean, really, it's just the way it truly is. So I'm sure that a good part of like them to instead of getting their butt lashing on national TV there, that you know, this information, like that this friend that used to work for the law firm had access to all the evidence, you know, like that in itself, right? Like, meaning, how many times can the defense leak stuff or do inappropriate, or whatever you want to call it? What's the word that you used? Atrocious or gronious or whatever word that was, you know, to this case, you know, I mean, it would be detrimental to Richard Allen, to me, to continue on.
100%.
You know, and nobody here wants, you know, an innocent person or a person that perhaps did it, you know, not to have a fair trial.
Yeah.
So-
No, Richard Allen deserves a fair trial, 100%. And
You know.
at the point that his defense counsel had gotten into, you know, I think egregious is the word I used earlier.
Yeah, egregious. Big word for me.
Muddied water. I think that it's, you know, in justice for the girls, their families, and also in Richard Allen's best interest that they not be there, because I don't see what possible way they could have moved forward with any trust in the court or from the court. Hey, Wonder Girl.
Hey, Wonder Girl. Not, even though I'm not quite down there, so still looking at the comments up here. Right, and the guy reportedly re-slipped because he believes Allen's innocent.
And I don't know
That's what I
his
believe. Sorry, Adam.
I don't know his motivation. I don't know what prompted him to leak the information. I mean, I feel like he was there to help prepare a document that definitely told a narrative that the defense was trying to tell. Whether they believed it to be true or not, I don't know. But I don't also know what prompted this guy to leak sensitive, illegal information to other sources. Because I mean, I'm not in the guy's head. I don't know him, so I don't know what actually made him do it.
Well, I was gonna say, I still think that you know, when you just kind of take something and you kind of decipher what sounds reasonable or why, you know, without knowing for certainty. But, you know, definitely one thing that stands out is if this is a friend of Baldwin's. And to me, it's kind of like, I feel like that this person wanted to put out these pictures, you know, or to share these pictures with the fact of showing, perhaps, maybe it was just for showing a few people, you know, that he knew, like, hey, this is what the sticks look like, you know, like this is what they're trying to say is runes, you know, and trying to share that with people that he knew. And maybe it wasn't necessarily to get it out there to the public as much as it was to take them and then share them. And then those people in turn shared them. You know, so it could have been just simply to show a few people what they were talking about with regards to the memorandum and how these sticks or whatever looked on the girls.
Right.
Um,
Like Wonder Girl says here, Mitch was staying in Franklin to tag team the memorandum filing.
to tag team the memorandum. Do we have 100 likes yet?
You know, this is something Gail brings up a point that I find to be something that, you know, I'm going to keep an eye out for when a new new attorney is appointed. But Gail says, Sonny, it's going to be interesting to see if RA keeps his not guilty plea. And I'll be interested to see that as well, because once there's a new attorney appointed, given the evidence that attorney is presented with, and Richard Allen's own statements and Richard Allen's wishes, you know, will he remain not guilty? Will he remain with a not guilty plea, or will a new attorney abide by his wishes and possibly change to a guilty plea? Because I don't think there'll be a plea deal, but I think a plea change could be a possibility. But I think we're a long way off from that still.
Mm-hmm.
And Bianca, I have to disagree with that, only because Bianca says if the crime scene would have not been held so close to the vest this whole time, they public could have helped with getting the right person. And, you know, I agree that a lot of the case, I think, was held too close to the vest. But if they got the right person in the end, then I'm not going to argue with how they got there. At least not right now.
Whoever makes a movie out of this, Alexa, is going to have a big headache on their hands. Enjoy that. Enjoy that for the Netflix, whatever, something or whatever comes out. Alexa, I read the transcript of those supposed texts that I didn't put much stock into until later this evening. Now I've heard that there was more than only pictures leaked that will be heard about soon. Well, I mean, okay, so right here in front of you again is a Brandon Woodhouse thing. So especially since when he sent you that after he made the big announcement of Allen's mistreatment at Westville, Baldwin leaked the evidence to me, but I have to be truthful as a brother can be. I don't know if it was intentional. I know our conversations were very deep. And it's in another, I think, piece of Brandon's thing where he talks, where they talk about reading the actual transcripts of his confession, Richard Allen's confession. Because we've never seen that, right, Adam? We've never seen the actual transcripts of Richard Allen's confession. That's never been put out there, right?
No, we haven't. But I have heard that was in. I mean, well, of course that would be in the discovery.
Right. That it would definitely be in the discovery, right?
Right.
But like Brandon and Mark are having a conversation, right. So he obviously
and who knows the factual basis of that. I mean, from what I was told is that, you know, that confession consisted of, quote, not much, but until I were to hear it for myself, I have no idea.
Right. I mean, there was 5 or 6 confessions or something like that.
Right.
I think it was.
And I think they're referring to I think they're talking about the one with Kathy. I don't know. You know,
right.
I'm not Brandon or Mark.
Yeah. Let's see here. So in saying that, I think it was Wonder Girl that put it up. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Well, I don't think I said, but I think I said it once. No, I don't think we did ever say the name. Okay. So the person that we're talking about is Mitch. The person that had worked for the law firm up until about 2019, Mitch W. Okay. Not sure that I'm going to show his full name, but for you guys, we'll show you a picture. So in this picture, this here would be Mitch. I can't remember this guy's name. He's in the law firm pictures. I have to go back and take a look on Yelp. And this, of course, is Andrew Baldwin. So there's your picture of that. So that's Mitch. So this is the person that had supposedly, I'll just say supposedly, the friend that had access to the office that helped, say, with the memorandum, allegedly, supposedly, blah, 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 blah. So M, R, and M, I guess. So Mark Robert, Robert Kyle Fortson, and Mitch W. Whatever. Mitch Westerman. That's his name. Mitch Westerman is supposedly the person that we are talking about here, the friend that is an ethics and compliance officer. Okay, and had worked for the law firm. So you guys can do any research you want after that point. And so, yeah, and I don't know, like whether Andrew Baldwin had knowledge or didn't have knowledge, that's for anyone's actual true guess besides people that actually have that information amongst themselves. So I thought it was 5 to 6. I thought it was 5 or 6, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Confessions are confessions. I will be curious to see what's going to happen. Sorry, Zero, would you say in your theory about the stick rune photo, you left out a motive? Was he pro-rune or anti-rune? Oh, what theory?
Whose theory?
Whose theory? Yeah. So I don't believe in the whole Odinistic line of thinking. I think it's an absolute crock of crap. That's our belief and opinion. Absolutely. All I see is a story. One elongated story. Simply that was, this all boils down to them getting their client off. What has transpired in the last month is just shameful to me. It's like kindergarten play. It's ridiculous. It's pathetic. It's disheartening. It's saddening. It's aggravating. It's frustrating. It's all of those things. So for the people, say that have seen the photos, you have some people going, oh, absolutely, definitely, they're, runes and whatever.
Right.
Tell me an Odinist that has said that they can tell you what the meanings of those are. Tell me an actual Odin person, besides a YouTube creator, who thinks that they're rune sticks or whatever. Tell me one Odin creator that's going, yep, definitely the Odins did it. Definitely. There isn't.
And sadly now, those theories and that speculation, that's going to now persist, because it was put out in public, and now that there's going to, a new defense team is going to have to be assigned. All of those theories are just going to build on each other, and they're going to persist now until we see whatever defense the new team comes up with.
Yeah.
And it could be something completely different. They could go the Ron Logan route. They could go Keegan Kline route. They could, they could urge Richard Allen to take a plea deal. We don't know yet. And so sadly, that's going to be another side effect of this fuckery, excuse my language. But I think that, one thing that's important to remember is that, like Wonder Girl said, there were leaks happening every day with the defense in the last month or so. And even if Andrew Baldwin was not directly involved in those leaks, they did nothing to stop them.
No,
they didn't. I mean, they knew that these leaks were coming from their office, and they did nothing to stop them. That alone is the reason that I originally thought they should be removed from this case.
Okay, and 1 second, I'm just wanting to look at something. because there's something I have about that. As for, sorry, zero, cool. Okay. So basically what my feelings are about the leaker, Mitch, is that, like I said, he's with the defense team, yeah, in a sense, regardless. He's Andrew Baldwin's friend, helping out, had access, whatever. So I feel, because of course they took the whole Odin line and are trying to show it, possibly it just simply could have been that he took those photos or whatever. I think it's more to it than just taking the photos and offering it to a few people. I think that they wanted, like, that he wanted to put this stuff out there. So again, to muddy the waters, to basically, this all goes down to basically saying that this is about Odinism, and here people, like, here's what the photos look like, again, to muddy the waters, because there's going to be people that are going to go, oh, absolutely, those look like their place there. And then you're going to have smarter people that are going to be like, yeah, I don't see, this as being Odinistic and stuff like that.
And if you're law enforcement and you wanted to, I've seen the theory out there that Richard Allen's a patsy. If you're law enforcement and you wanted someone to be a patsy for this crime 26 days before an election, is Richard Allen the best candidate to be a patsy? Because nothing I've seen in this investigation leads Richard Allen to be the most likely patsy that you would go with. I mean, why wouldn't you go with Ron Logan? Why wouldn't you go with Keegan Kline? Like, why would you go with this Richard Allen guy? That makes no sense to me. So Occam's razor always tells me, I'm like, okay, that's not it. So I immediately can rule out the patsy theory, because I have to go through mental gymnastics to make that work in my head when it comes to, like, framing him. But that's just me.
Yeah. Oh, hey, can you respond to this? When Wendigo says, I see a lot of people slamming his GoFundMe for his daughter, but if it wasn't for that donation from Fortson, the leaks from the defense would be continuing. Lordless Warrior was leaking for months. Can you just explain that to people, what Wendigo is referring to?
I mean, I know someone brought it up yesterday in our live, and what she's referring to is that, the GoFundMe that was set up for Mark Roberts' daughter is for a medical condition. I'm not entirely familiar with it, and there have been people speculating that some of the donations made to that GoFundMe were made so in as payment for the leaked photos. I am not about to imply or speculate on the motivation for any person's donation to a GoFundMe for a sick child. Is it interesting, the people that have donated? Absolutely. But could those people have had personal relationships with them? Again, absolutely. So I know that people are speculating about it. People are putting stuff out there. It's not an avenue I've gone down, and I don't choose to, because I'm not about to touch anything with a 10-foot pole that involves a sick child. That's heartbreaking, right. And I wish the best for him and for his daughter. I don't agree with some of the stuff he's done, but I'm not going to implicate anything with this child or the motivation behind the donations that I have no proof of.
Yeah, my gut feeling is it had nothing to do with I don't know much about this GoFundMe thing, but my gut is like that's a whole separate thing. This isn't about photo leaks to me. This is about people helping a daughter that's in a health crisis. But
and if people donating are also connected to getting pictures,
it's because they knew each other.
I don't know, and I personally don't know any other connection outside of that. Could there be? Yes. Do I know of any? No.
So on this one, Adam, and anyone in chat as well, let's just do this. One, if you think that Andrew Baldwin knew about this last photo leak here of that, or two, if you don't think he had anything to do with it. So Alexa's saying, I disagree, Diana. I don't understand why Baldwin would even risk his own reputation. And then you have people going, well, I mean, you know, if he's kind of, you know, doing it to the side where it's like, here, you know, let me just turn a blind eye. I don't know. What would your response? What do you think? Do you think Baldwin knew about the leaks in the office space?
I'm not going to speculate on it because trust me, I have looked into this extensively, and I don't know if Andrew Baldwin directed it himself or if the information came from him inadvertently. So I'm not going to accuse him. Either way, it's his fault, and he's responsible.
That's correct.
But I don't know if he actually directed it, and I've never claimed to you know, that he, you know, is culpable for direct leaking of this. But he is responsible.
I'll agree with that as well. Like, I would be torn. I would be on the 50-50 part of it. I would kind of be more like, I don't know, like I would kind of lean more towards Alexa's thoughts on this one. You know, like, you're talking about someone that's been in the field for a long time.
With a good reputation.
And to risk that as reputation, I would like. I could see a sly younger guy maybe doing something like that, but I'd probably lean. I'm torn. But if I probably had to lean one way, I'd probably think more that he wouldn't want to be risking, you know, his lawyer's license or whatever, and you know, get disbarred, or I don't know. I'm probably gonna say lean more towards Alexa on this one, but yet that's just my own opinion on that one. I just think that at the end of the day, like Adam said, and like we've said, you know, it's absolutely Baldwin's fault. So in those documents, when they're trying to claim that it's not Baldwin's fault that he was snookered and abused, or it was his fault. It's his person, a friend, an employee that worked for the firm that
and at the end of the day, rather than fight for his client and his own reputation, he chose to resign.
Hey, Shadow.
That's a fact. And for whatever reason he did that for, I mean, I don't know what these coercive things would be other than, you know, we know this about you, and you either are going to be removed from the case or you're going to resign or be sanctioned. And he chose, I'm going to resign. He didn't fight for his client 100%. He did not fight for his reputation. He quit. That's a fact.
You know, I almost want to say a bit of karma has happened here somewhat. And this is maybe the way it's meant to play out, come out. Because kind of like what Wonder Girl's saying here, like, you know, by the people that he brought into his life, you know, say Brandon, and, you know, obviously Brandon saying like, you know, I don't know if it was intentional that he sent me these things. I mean, you know, and the YouTubers feeding him information. Maybe it's just one of those things that, you know, maybe Abby and Libby are having their hand going, no, like, you're not getting away with this crap, okay? And because of risking the case and stuff like that, like I said, of appeal and the right for justice, who knows? Maybe Abby and Libby did have their hand in this, saying, no, you know, we're going to get our justice, even if it takes longer. I mean, it's already almost been 7 years. At the end, but by the end of the day, I feel horrible how long this case has gone on. It's been an absolute circus. I could never put myself in the family's shoes of having to deal with this year after year, hopes up, down, up, down. Yesterday, they must have been absolutely just crushed because of all this stuff coming out, and then now it's like, oh, so now the lawyers are off the team. Only because although, Adam, like I said, you had been telling us about this, saying that this was going to happen. Murder Sheets had talked about this as well. I don't necessarily think that the families knew about this, though, as much as the true crime world might have known that this was a very likely possibility. I don't necessarily know that, say, Becky and, Carrie or Anna were aware, like, to them, this might have been just a complete blindside to them that this was happening. Might not be, but I kind of feel like it might have been. Whereas to us it was expected.
That could be, and that's sad. But can I respond to Diana's question really quickly? Diana says, didn't this Mark Robert guy inform MS right away, then LA, about the photos he received and not spread those photos to anyone else? So the GoFundMe angle is inaccurate. How does he know MW? I don't know that he directly knows MW. I think he got his information about MW from Fortson.
Yeah, right. Fortson.
And I will say that I believe that, yes, I believe that Mark Robert informed MS and then law enforcement. And I actually personally don't believe, and I don't have anything to back this up, but I don't believe that Mark Robert sent out the emails that went out to a lot of YouTubers and social media people with these pictures. I think that what happened was that Robert Fortson, and he's not here to defend himself, so I don't want to speculate too much on it, but I think that he may have sent these pictures to Mark and maybe one or two other people, or maybe multiple other people. And that once Mark Robert released the F-Tree pic, I believe on October 4th, I think that someone else that had received the same pictures from Fortson saw the F-Tree pic and then emailed out the crime scene photos as kind of a piggyback on this public leak. And the reason I feel confident in saying that is because I know that the Mark Robert Fortson correspondences were shared with law enforcement and with the defense. And if Fortson himself had sent out the emails, or Mark Robert has sent out the emails, that would have been disclosed in those messages to each other. So there would be no reason for them to have lied about that. But I feel like the emails were sent out by a different person that Fortson sent the pictures to. That's just my personal theory. And I don't have anything to back it up other than the information I have. But I do think that, the emails and the information Mark Robert had are the same information, but I don't think they came from Mark Robert.
Well, that was a mouthful.
Sorry.
Did you guys follow that? I don't know who MWM or MS or Mark Robert is.
Mark Robert is the person that posted the F-Tree pic on social media. MW is this Mitch person that MW we've talked about. MS is merged.
Yeah. So MW is the person that was Andrew Baldwin's friend that snapped the pictures, on the screen or whatever, and then he shared them with the Robert Kyle Forston, and he shared them with Mark Roberts and whoever else, right? Whoever else they went out to. But Mark Robert is the one that put out the F-Tree pic because he was supposedly pissed because of Barbara McDonald's.
He was coerced too.
or coerced to. Yeah. Doubt it. Coerced. Yeah. Probably Furley did it. Anyway, I think the point of this really all is that people that totally believe that, say, Richard Allen's innocent, and they're trying from the defense angle to show that Odinism, and here's some leaks because we're getting it out to the public and we're creating reasonable doubt, and stuff like that. Like, that's the whole thing really to me, is that, if you're a friend of somebody, and you have this high belief in their line, or you're trying to help them, whatever, and then you do things maybe that are not so ethically correct and stuff like that. You start, like I said, leaking this stuff out. But obviously, like I said, there's tons of leaks going on, like ridiculous. And the defense is absolutely, totally guilty. Prosecution isn't so innocent either, to be honest with you.
What did they do?
Hey?
What did they do?
Prosecution?
Yeah.
Well, they're the one that put out their freaking Kagan Klein interview, and Murder Sheet grabbed that. It was an accidental leak.
Well, I mean, we don't know where it came. It didn't come from the prosecution.
We know where it came from. We know
We don't know
exactly
where
where it came from. Yeah, I do. Came right out of the prosecution's office. Yeah, that was said multiple times now. Came out of the prosecution's office. And that was put out there, but meaning MS ended up grabbing it and then sharing it with the rest of us. But just meaning, like, they're not innocent either. Theirs, I believe, was totally accidental difference. I believe there's a difference between accidental and intentional on things. I know that, but again, you have two sides of the coin here. People that have absolutely belief that Richard Allen is innocent, less his confessions, of course, because some Odinites with some patches, even though they said that they're not Odinites. But so explain that to me. What patch did they have on? Because the news media keeps putting up in Odin we trust, to make it seem, yeah, right. And they're putting up a patch that's saying in Odin we trust. Yet you look at both of the affidavits, and they said that they weren't part of Odinism and stuff like that. It's like, and this is where like the media twists shit around too. But anyways, bottom line is you have those people that are for the defense, helping them out. I mean, it's their right, but obviously the defense has been doing a lot of damage. The whole freaking memorandum, 136 pages. Okay, that's what it is, 136 pages, not 137, not 135. It was
Everyone keeps getting it wrong. What's 136?
It's 136. It drives me, I don't know why, but it drives me crazy. Because everyone keeps saying these different numbers, like 139, 134,
135, 137. I'm like, no, it's 136. It's always been 136. Don't get it wrong. even though it's BS. But anyway, I'll be right back.
Okay, so Wonder Girl, Forkston released the Velcro patch info in his real name. So Wonder Girl, because I don't know, I know obviously about the patch thing, but Forkston released the Velcro patch info in his real name. Is that something that you have that you could send to Aspen? About that? Do you have that by chance? That info? Caesar, at least I know that they aren't corrupt. And again, Wonder Girl, I know that you do a lot of fabulous work, that you work hard, you play hard, and you get results. Thank you always for your help. I know that, I don't know you personally, or even on Messenger or anything, but I just want to say thank you. I think anyone, to be honest, who really works hard to fight for the truth, not bullshit, not crap, whatever, just fight for the truth and justice of stuff, no matter what that is. Also, the professor's interview with some shady prosecution stuff. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that one. Like we talked about, it could have been that, no, it's not ritualistic, but there's like signs that are kind of portraying that it is. And then when defense talked to them, who knows? I don't know. That one that one sticks in my head as weird, but it really always depends on words that are said properly, and then without us actually seeing, well, I mean, the defense still put out information, like it's not like they put out false information about talking with him and stuff like that. But I'm still very unclear on that kind of myself. Yeah, it was Miami County. Yeah, it wasn't McClelland that goofed on that. It was Miami County. So I guess still for the prosecution side, but yeah. But it wasn't like it was McClelland's fault. Yeah. Was Robert Forston in these chats or only on Facebook? In this chat, like the chat that's kind of like you're looking at, I'll wait for Adam to answer that, because from what I know, I think it's like whatever it was, messenger chats or whatever between Mark and Robert, and those were like kind of like this stuff, I believe. But this is Woodhouse and Mark and whoever else conversations. I remember when that came out, the F tree pick, it was like fake. I actually a little bit thought, well, it is similar to the one tree we're looking at. If honestly, I felt that, but I was like, everyone was saying it was fake, so I kind of just thought so myself. But yet there was a piece of me that was like, I don't know, this kind of does seem like the tree, but kind of not. And it seemed a little weird, very light and pale, and but apparently it ended up being actual. I don't want to call it the F tree, because kind of like when I was showing it yesterday, when we're looking at this, like at what point, at what point do we see like this piece connect to this piece? I mean, I can see when, what, this reminds me a little bit of like sometimes when you see a word, and I remember there was a certain word, I can't remember what it was anymore, but it reminds me of when you see a certain word or you see something and you instantly think that it is saying something else, like meaning you misread the word because you look at it fast. And I think that's the case almost with this, is that visually when you stare at it, instantly F comes right into your head, for most people, because of the top part. It's not necessarily that you're finishing off, but when you first look at it, you just literally think, oh, it looks like an F. So I can understand visually, because that happens so many times with our brains, where you see something and yet you look at a word and it's like almost like dyslexic to you backwards, and you put it wrong. Because I'm trying to remember what it was. There was something, and even my husband fell for it too. And I was like, no, honey, that's, but I can't think of what it was. Anyways, that's how I kind of see this, is like visually, when you first look at it, you're just like, because it's like straight lines, right? But the actual part of the F in the middle doesn't actually connect to that. I don't believe this is an F tree whatsoever. I don't think that any person's because I don't believe in the Odinism line, but it's not that. If there was something to represent to me that actually this had anything to do with Odinism, and the fact that Odinists aren't even taken what is his name? Patrick Westfall, other Odinists, like I said, Brandon, like this isn't an Odin and F. You know, that's not. They have no belief in this Odinism angle. Um, and again, if an Odinist can't decipher what supposedly these sticks are, and we've, people that have seen the crime scene photos and people that have, seen the depiction of the sticks, because from the people especially that have seen the crime scene photos and then made depictions, again, you have Rick Snay going, absolutely. Well,
Sonny, are you saying you think people were snookered into thinking this was Odinism?
I think yes, snookered and abused.
I mean, I think that we've all been a bit snookered and abused, if you want to be fair.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let me go back to this. So Wonder Girl above, I don't know if she's answered me since, because she above said Fortston released the Velcro patch info in his real name. So I asked her if she had it to send it to you, because I'm interested in why they keep showing this in Odin We Trust patch for these correctional officers that are clearly saying that they aren't part of Odin. They might be part of, say, something else, but not Odinism. So just, okay, Fortston didn't use Mark to release the info. He released info under, for months. And yes, he was in groups and posted under his real name. Okay, so what I'm reading there is that Fortston didn't use Mark, so that Fortston was underneath the name Lordless Warrior for months. I think I'm reading that correctly. And yes, he was in groups and posted underneath his real name, meaning, so he posted info underneath Lord Warriors for months. And yes, he is in groups and posted underneath his real name as well, meaning to Fortston. I'm taking that as, is that how you're reading that?
Right.
Well, because it kind of goes into two things there. It's kind of like saying, well, Fortston was posting underneath Lordless Warrior for months, and yes, he's in groups and posted underneath of his real name. So I'm taking that to be Fortston as well, that he was doing it both ways. So Fortston didn't just use Mark. Okay, so Fortston didn't just use Mark to release info. He was releasing it beforehand. Okay, thank you, Wonder Girl, for clearing that out. Which, I mean, it's also interesting that the guards were wearing patches after RA was put into Westville. Smells fishy. I want to see what these patches actually say. The guards started wearing patches after RA. I don't know. Who says that? Where is that information coming from?
One of the affidavits, I believe, and like I said, I'm not following the Odinism angle, so I'm not an expert, but I believe that one of the guards in their affidavit talked about how they started wearing patches. Was it 2 months after they were assigned to? I don't even want to get wrong. One of them, I think, was not assigned to his pod at all, which was he was only ever in contact with Richard Allen when Richard Allen was being transported.
Let me bring those up.
Other one that was on his pod, but and the pictures that were put in the memorandum were not the actual patches. They were examples of the patches, if I remember correctly. But I just,
So
I'm not the person to ask about the Odinism angle.
Well, just the patches. Okay. All right. I just want to see something here. Okay. Just so that's Randy Jones. That one. Let me just quickly, and just if you see any questions there, just feel free for a second.
Yeah. Wonder Girl says Fortson wanted to use Mark because Mark obtained the Woodhouse Index files, and that absolutely would make sense. You know, if someone had publicly been putting something else out that they'd received, and they knew this person might be susceptible to releasing something publicly that they wanted out there, you know, that sounds plausible to me. Of course, Fortson's not here to answer for that, so I don't know, but it makes sense.
Okay. One sec. I have to go to the washroom really bad.
Yeah.
So sorry. Be right back.
Yeah, Charmaine, I know it was in the affidavit. I know that I'm not I'm not gonna say what's in the affidavit if I can't speak to it, you know, accurately. But yeah, I get that that's where that came from.
Just quickly, it's I think she's referring to right there that I started wearing the patches 6 or 7 months ago. I'll be right back.
Okay. Stephanie says it's unprofessional to wear them. Yeah, and you know, and if it's not within their guidelines of what they should be wearing, of course, then they should not have been wearing them. But to my understanding, as soon as they were informed by their supervisors not to wear them, they stopped. But again, they probably never should have been wearing them to begin with. I just don't think they're relevant to this story or case. Hey, Fig. Good to see you. Fig says, didn't Mark tell people that Richard Allen was caught due to stealing tools from his neighbor? I remember hearing that rumor. I don't remember where it came from, but I do remember hearing that rumor. I don't remember ever seeing any truth or proof to that, but I do remember the rumor. Charmaine says, I'm not saying I believe that theory, but I'm saying they didn't just make this shit up. It was investigated and dismissed by law enforcement. The defense decided to dig in. Oh, hold on, I'll be right back. Jane from the country says, will Tom Webster come on tonight? Jane, it's safe to say Tom's here. He's just watching.
Yeah. Tom loves us from his recliner. And every time when you ask Tom, he'll be like, oh, I don't like doing lives. Tom does things when he wants to do things. I have no control over Tom, sadly.
I do. Kidding.
If I were a criminal defense attorney, I would come up with any plausible story to do my job and get my client off the charges. To me, these are just stories. Yeah. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, they want the confessions. We know that, right? We've known that for a long time. They literally want to try to destroy anything to do with the confessions of Richard Allen confessing. They're doing their job, but then they're not doing their job either, because obviously, you know, like Andrew Baldwin is responsible, you know, for these leaks that keep coming out of his office and stuff like that. So, you know, they're not doing Richard Allen any justice whatsoever. They made this whole memorandum public, and like everyone has been saying, and prosecutors podcast and everybody, for the most part, that like they basically wanted to air the whole story and then make it public, which they did, instead of it making private. So it's like, to me, totally, I guess maybe along the legal lines, but like there's a gag order, right? And yet they're releasing all that information about the crime scene and stuff. Oops.
Wendy, did you mention the prosecutor's podcast?
I just did.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So if you had to pick, who's your favorite, Alice or Brett? Not to put you on the spot. Feel free to. Brett. I mean, he's good, but
I like them both. Like, I like her too, though. Go ahead. What's your why? Why are you asking?
I have a little crush. I told you. You already knew I have a little crush on Alice.
Well, so the crush from Cold Truth is just gone?
No. I still have.
A different crush?
I'll always have a crush on Cold Truth, but I do have a little bit of a crush on Alice from the prosecutor's podcast. I might not be the only one.
Well, I do like her voice when she's talking. I do like her voice, but you know what? I'm sorry. I'm a little biased. I do prefer listening to males than females typically. I'm not going to lie. I do. Most times. No, I'm not. I shouldn't say it. Just keep that to myself. I do prefer listening to males typically. Well, it depends. If the female is humorous and has, some, life about her. If they're too high pitchy, I can't stand listening. If it's a real high pitched voice, that hurts my eardrums to know, But all my life, I would rather hang out with guys than girls. Why? Because they're a lot funner to me, typically,
Says the female to the primarily female audience.
Yeah. Well, hence why a lot of these females, like watching a lot of males too. I've just, like I said, it really depends on the podcaster, to be honest with you. Because I do listen to female
I like both of them a lot. They're a great team. And I just recently became aware of them. But
yeah,
I'm a little partial.
I will always like the person more, regardless of male or female, if they have a sense of humor about when they're talking or how they're saying things, and they can joke around. With them, I kind of feel like both, but if I had to pick between the two of them, I'm going to go more with him. Yeah. And it's kind of like when Mike King and, what's his face? Chris McDonough there. I would actually rather listen to typically Chris McDonough over Mike King, because Mike King was actually very boring to me, whereas Chris McDonough always had this smart ass comments, to throw in there, which always would make me laugh. So, but all my life, I typically would rather hang out with guys, typically over, just because there was less drama and it was more of laughing and joking around, type of thing. But I feel like in the true crime world, I feel like there's more drama between the guys than the female creators.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have an interview with Brett coming up. Maybe Alice too. Who's Brett? I'm having a blank.
Prosecutor from the prosecutor's podcast.
Oh, is that his name?
Yeah, Brett.
Oh, okay. Nice fake. Yeah. I remember, I think Deb watched it quite after us, because I remember her talking about the prosecutor's podcast not too long ago, like just the other day. And I was like, oh, yeah. Because she was talking about the show, but me, you'd already seen it, like whenever it came out or whatever, because Adam told me about it. So I didn't watch the one with the murder sheets on it, because in all fairness, I'm so sick and tired of listening to the murder sheets, like meaning talking about the same thing. They were on Court TV. They did their own podcast. They were on I think it was Wish TV. And by the time I seen it later on Prosecutor's podcast, I was like, I'm not listening to this again. I've already listened to them talk about the story. It's kind of like watching Francis Skull 5 times. After a while, you're just like, okay, all right, seen enough now. So nothing against them on that, but just I was just like, I've seen them on enough freaking interviews today. Don't feel like
Right.
watching, so I never did watch that one that they just put out. I don't know if it was good or not, but to me, it was just going to be talking about the same stuff. Even though I do like the prosecutors podcast, I think I like it when you can watch a podcast and they take you along with them, and you actually understand what they're saying. You know, they're kind of speaking in clear kind of lingo instead of talking in word twisters that you don't really understand, you know, unless you're a lawyer. So I just like the way that they're kind of like, you know, clear and concise in how they're talking. I don't know. It's just my thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. The Ask a Lawyer guy, or the Lawyer You Know guy, he's kind of like that as well. You know, he did a video on the Delphi. I watched a few minutes of it because he was taking a break or something. But he was the same way. He kind of like just dummied it down for us people that really don't understand the law and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm first of all Canadian. So people that live in the US, you guys know your own laws a lot better than what I would. So for me, it like dummies it down. But I mean, there's laws that are kind of the same between Canada and the US, don't get me wrong. But it's just like, there's nothing about me that knows really about the law
Right.
of Indiana or whatever. But I just like it when they dummy it down for me. So I go, oh, okay, now I get it. You know, now I understand.
Right.
Jane, yes, that's nice. Fig, how did you keep track of your notes in Delphi? What were we going to say? I just write in a notebook.
I can answer for Fig. He has a spreadsheet. He keeps everything in a PowerPoint presentation and in a spreadsheet form at all
It's kind of
times.
like what I do for Tom Webster. I supply him with the whole spreadsheet, and all he has to do is talk on his live. That's how organized I am.
Right. No, what I was going to say is, I hate to be the party pooper, but I have to go soon.
That's fine. Get out of here. You know, you could be right about that, Chummy. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I have to go soon because I have to get up at like 6:30 a.m.
Are you babysitting or working?
What? I'm babysitting in the morning and then working,
soccer.
and then I'm babysitting, and then I'm going to a soccer match.
Oh, you going to soccer tomorrow? That's
Tomorrow
okay.
night.
I'm probably going to be hanging with Steffa anyway. Sonny, you should have watched then late last night. At the very end, MS had some new info. Talking about the prosecutors podcast, Maureen. I hate people saying unalived. Well, we would say that because YouTube was being very, very picky on what you say. Now I have no problem saying murder. It makes me laugh when JLR says KILLER. And I'm like, trust me, dude, that's probably one of the least words, you know. But YouTube, you didn't know. You could say it sometimes, not say it sometimes. You had no clue, and lives were always going yellow. But YouTube, I can see has changed because even those yellows that I had the other day, Adam, once they did their thing, they turned green, and I'm like, bless you, YouTube, for finally, you know, I don't know, making it easier to do a live instead of frustrating. Hence why people will say that word to basically get YouTube off their back. Now, let's just see if I'm green still. I was green earlier. Am I still green? Yeah, see, typically YouTube I'd be yellow almost all live, and you didn't understand what it was for. And it was frustrating making a video that you couldn't play clips, or you'd click them and you'd try to take out the word murder in there. And you're just like, oh my God. But they have been changing for the better. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll watch the ending part of that, Maureen. Thanks for answering, I guess, on all social media is gone. Yeah. You know, that's always what happens, right? I mean, even when I click on Mitchell, besides Instagram, all the other ones are just like 404, this link is not there, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so um, so Sergeant Randy Jones, um, the that I do wear patches on my uniform that identify me as someone. Okay, which is a part of the defense affirmed since first of all. Okay, that I do wear patches on my uniform that identify me as someone who practices Norse paganism heathenry. Okay. The patches do not represent racism, that I'm not part of a cult, that I am not part of a radical hate group. Where's the one where it talks about Odinism? That I do not practice Odinism, and that Norse paganism, heathenry, is my practicing religion. So whatever patch that is, I guess. So it's not going to say that I do not know anything about the practice of Odinism, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, so why social media, freaking news outlets putting, this Odinism patch out? You know, you don't think that he knows what patch he has on and if it's Odinism or not, and then you have news media, putting out their false crap as well, showing it like, of course, right? Clicks and views or whatever they're getting out of it. Well, here's a patch that's an Odinism. Well, where does it say that here? You think that guy's gonna lie underneath an affidavit, and then really he had an Odin patch on? Doesn't make sense. Anyways, we're gonna get going here. Bennett, I had some of his Reddit posts. I thought he was Matt Hoffman, to be honest. Oh yeah, there was that being said. He posted on Coburger Threads as well. He deleted his account. He had Twitter as well. There was that, was it this one? Or did I not bring it in? I think it was. What is this one? 1 second. Let's see. Is it? Oh no, I don't think I grabbed it. Let me just 1 second. Go back to my. Oh, I think it was this one here. So, so again, this is from Brandon Woodhouse's video. So Matt H., which is Matt Hoffman. Good evening. My name is Matt, and I'm an investigator that is following up on new leads for attorney Andrew Baldwin. I received a message from the office today that you left a message and that you have information that may be important to the Delphi case. I would very much like to follow up with you concerning the information. And then it says, please feel free to call me.
Right.
Yeah. What's this one?
And I will maintain a lot of these people, like I don't know anything negative about Matt Hoffman, but any of these people that were employed by the defense, such as Jason Jensen or Matt Hoffman or anyone else that was officially employed by them. But think of all of the people that had spent a year of their life sending information to the defense. Well, I'm not going to name anyone, but they literally spent a year of their life trying to assist in the defense of Richard Allen and help this defense team, all for nothing. And that's gotta really suck for all of them, because they worked so hard to put all of this effort into this person that they may feel is innocent, and now that's all down the drain. A new defense team is going to be appointed, and a year's worth of those people's work is gone. So
yeah,
you know what?
Yeah.
Karma, if you will. But you know what? If Rich Allen is truly innocent, then I guess those people will attach themselves to the new defense team, and we'll probably start to see some of the same antics going on that we've seen over the past year. I hope not. But yeah, it would really cause someone to unravel if they found out that all of that work they'd done in the past year was for nothing, just to get a alleged child killer, exonerated from the charges they're being held on.
So, who here thinks that they're going to that the new defense team is going to follow up with the Odinism angle and keep it rolling that way? Do you, Adam?
No. It'll depend on they'll have to lay out the defense they plan to give, because they can either abandon this completely or they'll have to go down the same path. I doubt they'll go down the same path, but I'd have to review Indiana law a little bit more to know what guidelines they'll have to follow as a replacement defense.
Yeah. I wonder. I don't know. I'm not so against the fact that they might keep following it. I mean, my gut instinct says that they won't, but it wouldn't also shock me if they kind of took that leap as well, or who knows? I don't know, actually. I guess we'll see eventually.
I think sadly we'll probably have a lot of time to see.
Same as Pete.
I agree with Wonder Girl. I think that they'll toss the Frank's motion, because the judge will still have to rule on the outstanding motions that are before the court. But
yes, Ben.
I think having no defense team in place right now is going to I thought the Frank's motion was going to get tossed to begin with, but CJK says figs stirring the pot. That would never happen.
Never. Ben, no. So unless the defense hands over anything to the new team, yes, they would have to re-interview them all. That was kind of said, I think. Who was it that said that? I think it was Bush TV or the lawyer, on there or something like that. Somebody said it. Can't remember. I don't think it was the judge. I just remember that being said, though, that the judge said that all the evidence would have to be over, but not their own work. But it was also talked about.
The defense won't have to re-interview all of the witnesses. They'll just have to follow whatever investigative lead they choose to follow, and they'll of course want to interview the witnesses that they're interested in pursuing.
I mean, the bottom line is at the end of the day, the whole unredacted freaking 136-page memorandum is out there. So the new team will have access of names and whatever, regardless.
Right.
So I don't know. Well, you know what? We'll see how it plays out. What a joke.
Sadly, something we continually had to say over and over with this case. But SP, I disagree. It's your opinion against mine, but I don't think that Judge Gola is going to grant the Frank's hearing.
Absolutely not. Why would she?
If she does, I'll say SP 74. You were right, but I've never thought she was going to grant it, and I especially don't now.
Well, especially don't now. I don't think she was going to grant it either, but especially not now. Why? The defense team is off the case. Why would she grant a Frank's hearing for their motion of lies type of thing? I don't think it's going to be granted because they're off the table now. To me, that wouldn't make sense.
Right, and plus they're not here because they're not even here to argue the hearing if they were to be granted it.
Right, meaning they're the one the defense is put out there, but they're not on the case no more.
So there's no one to argue the Frank's hearing if she were to grant it. So to me, that's null and void.
That's how I see it as well. I mean, there's no reason to have it until, like I said, this is going to be a whole reset, really. And it's just a matter of if the new defense goes along the same line, if they pick this up where it got left off, and how much
They'll
they'll
request a new one.
and stuff. And yeah, so, yeah.
But
Anyways, yeah, I hope you're right. Yeah, so I think this is good enough live. It's been 2 hours, you guys. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. And like we showed you earlier, talked about, we showed you Mitch, and that's person that supposedly, allegedly, blah blah blah, the friend of Andrew Baldwin's. Good friend. What a good friend. I really do wonder how their relationship is now.
I'd say it's probably hit a hiccup.
I'm sure it has. You know what?
If Andrew Baldwin was not in the know.
Right. If he was not in the know, it definitely would hit a hiccup. Because if your friend and he didn't know caused this much damage to the case where they had to redraw, knowing that this is one of the biggest cases in true crime, and that all this transpired because leaks keep happening, and this is whatever friend of Andrew Baldwin's, like, again, I can't see how I would remain their friend either if that happened, right, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, it's still Andrew Baldwin's fault, so anyways, you guys, so I'm going to talk to Steffa, maybe do a live tomorrow night.
I will not be around.
And he was going to go, yeah. There's sometimes I don't need you around. Sometimes I just don't need you, Adam. I mean, I'm sure that Teo Mai would be absolutely saddened by that.
I'll be at a soccer match watching Lionel Messi play.
Yeah. Thank you, Travis. And thank you, mods. And, thank you, friends, family of the It's a Crime and Shame channel. Thank you guys. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't. And other than that, have a good night. Right? And I want to say prayers and justice for Libby and Abby, of course, and prayers to the family again that have to keep dealing years and years after with all this
fuckery.
Yeah, there's a good word. Fuckery. There we go. Anyways, you guys, take care and have a great night. This is Sunny Justice and Aspen Connor from It's a Crime and Shame, wishing you all a good night.